Welcome to Stone Soup's Open Mic, first in December as we count down. Hopefully, we'll have a feature announced by the end of this week. I am hoping for I am hoping for two people to chime in and say yes, they will do it. I'm still waiting back on them, and hopefully, it'll happen. Thank you guys for waiting to for coming tonight. Thanks for your patience. More things are going to be announced hopefully by the end of this week, including the hopefully the publication of Stone's Throw and. Oh, fuck it. That's all I got today. For great updates. Still reeling from TikTok gate from last week, but I haven't had so many people tell me I should kill myself since my last guidance counselor meetup back in high school. So yeah, it was interesting.
Hmm.
So we will get started. It's great to not be a TikToker right now, but to be a poet. Oh, to be a poet, and oh, to be a host. Let us get to our wonderful poets tonight. Thanks to everyone who's come. Thanks to everyone who's new. I'm not sure who Rich P is. I'm trying to figure that out. But if you want to read, let me know on chat or otherwise. Ditto to Calvin Chen. I'm hoping we got a couple of people from Blue Sky, which is popping at this point. A few of you could might consider joining. The poetry networks are trying to get everyone interconnected into several groups. It seems to be working out. And best of all, a lot of the ultra conservative places are being banned outright. Libs of TikTok, the far right Twitter person in quotes has been it was just banned from TikTok, was just banned from Blue Sky. So it's interesting, and hopefully some more connections will come up. Now, the Remnant 5000, after much hemming and hawing, has selected Richard Spizak to get us started off. Sir, take it away.
Thank you so much. An honor and a pleasure to be here. On a slightly humorous note, I had to go to a doctor's appointment today, and he said, "Listen, since you've had to deal with these health issues, have you been depressed lately?" And I said, "Well, despite the election, no, no, I'm not." So here we go. Speaking of the election, I'd like to share this first one with you. It's called "All Trump All the Time." All Trump all the time. We must always evidently prime the pump. It's fine. The press supported messes fill prime time with a worsening, coarsening, subliminal horsening, remained in concreteness, sealing fans. God save us, replete with the gonging song of whimsical, splintery, wintery wind chimes, dimed and sublimely tireless. Crypto, flipto, lauds, abuses, so much fun like furrier unbrushed, yet more than loosened, blue tinged bruise contusions. Whiskey focused local yokel history misleads and outshines any substantial suburban moral victories. Moral stricture in tablets or capsules, purple lozenges in tasseled diction lose the ladies with shady maladies. Elementary salary seen rich in colonial victories. The whole world's upside down. The British colonial forces fled the crown's frown, and forced marches through marshes beat a hasty retreat, fleeing the colonial, phonial, baronial, sensible, indefensible Senate. How fabulously fashionable, inactional, ably savory, ivory assisted feet, unresisted, complete with meticulously conscripted deceit. Fake the hate rich, Gingrich seated, heated, news construed, contusions used to boost the dated, rated, slated conceding, only to be revealed at last week's harrowing concealed meeting, only to go forth to the retreat. And if I may offer you one more on a slightly lighter note, this is called Turning in Your Neighbors. Not harsh enough, then starch them cuffs. I sort of like their sofa. I like their cars and stuff. Turn them in by lunchtime, grab their favorite chair. They'll be cleared out by 11. They'll be just cluttering up the jail. Repudiating humanism. It's a mechanistic age with compulsory church attendance, public prayers now all the rage. Everyone wears their AI watchers. Best don't leave home without it, Nacho. Even at bedtime, be no more a whisperer, 'cause you better shout about it, mister. Keep your batteries all charged up, 'cause yeah, it's only a misdemeanor, but never doubt it. Just shut up. But if you're caught without it, oh my dear, you'll learn what it's like when your ears and fingertips most assuredly will feel the burn. And when your street block captain checks your record out online, if your watch refuses to shine, you'll be emailed, brother, one great big healthy fine. No more lawn boys at the neighbors. All the gardening done for white folks will be done by prison labor. And all the teachers and professors no longer highfalutin men of letters. No more colleges or universities. They'll no more think there are betters. We emptied them all. We got no more need. Doctors all work for the insurance, so if you're poor, you'll need endurance. The whole thing runs on greed. I've turned in all my neighbors. They were a suspicious lot, and when they left, we gathered up all those things they bought. We've got great employment surges, although it's centered at a few select favorite churches. Everyone must sign up for compulsory attendance. No more private morality. And on the other hand, you'll never more be friendless. And when the churchy state rightward lurches, you'll see attendance capped at churches. And when the church enforces at the door hands out the new commandments, you better hope he'll sign your churchy list attendance. So many hours of prayer each day, you'll need to get your card stamped by the neighbor anyway. You'll have to buy the leader's picture. It's mandatory, so you don't say, or else you'll get a lecture. They check on their next visit the very next day. They'll be downloading your prayer history. How fervent are your studies, or the latest revision of the sacred trumptations mysteries, the latest definition of religion? And after they rounded up the brown ones and the political media clown ones, the Dems were next, and the rhinos, they're all hexed. Into the gulags, and all them proud, profound ones will have their collars stretched. Those college professors were gathered to stand before the state confessors. Each classroom has its Bible belt, and should you, without your homework, be caught, that possession will be a stressor. Unless you offered a hefty bribe, it'll be a while before you wander safely back to your tribe. Schools now renounce formal learning. Didn't you smell those books are burning? Not much left more for the discerning student when carrying books for study just isn't prudent. Best to be an athlete now. All them art and lettered music classes, all them long lost and how. Idiocracy is the new ideal. No more transgender surgery. That was never real. No more punishment for perjury. No more stool pigeons with the big reveal. All the January 6th prisoners have been knighted, and all the choral horror hoodlums are delighted. Once a year they climb the dome to remind us all that Donnie's home.
Thank you, as always, Richard. Some good political stuff this week. Patricia Kerrigan's also included from this week, and Rich Boucher, who may join us later on, as will John Wesick. I hope he's in another meeting right now. He told me. Until then, Jackie, are you participating this week? Awesome, Jackie Oldman, everyone.
Okay. Can you hear me now? Okay. Well, I'm not in a political mood. I'm kind of in getting old mode. This is a poem from earlier this year called Cosmic SOS, and I apologize if it's been read before, but so be it. While browsing at Walgreens for old-fashioned popsicles to suck down before my colonoscopy the following day, I greeted a woman I routinely passed in the aisles. She used a walker with a basket, pushing it with her one good hand. Her other hand permanently balled up in a tight fist. I can never find what I'm looking for, she complained. Neither can I replied, shaking my head in disgust. At the checkout line, she was being served, and I was next in line. Slowly and painfully, she extracted her items from the basket one handed, placing them on the counter, occasionally dropping her bags on the floor as she struggled to complete her purchases. She rebuffed attempts by the man ahead of her to help, saying, I got it, grunting and puffing in pain as she stooped down, stood up, and turned back towards the counter. Her voice and mannerisms so slow, so much like my friend Jay at her poetry book launch a year ago, leaning on her co host for support as she took the stage. I silently shouted my friend's name, recalling our last phone conversation 2 weeks prior. The following day, while recuperating from my procedure, I bolted from the couch at an email from Jay's co host telling me that Jay had been in the hospital for a week and wanted to hear from me. Thanks.
And on the subject of colonoscopies, Bill, sorry, I couldn't resist.
You could have if you had tried. God, the things that I have to put up with. So, RFK is telling us that we have to give up processed food and eat fresh. And now our left leaders are telling us that that's bad. He's trying to ruin people's jobs. I love politics. However, much more than politics, I love Ellie. She makes me so glad. Her smiling face, her wagging tail delight me when I'm sad. The sticks she rushes after, flying down the hill, leaping high, she snatches them, showing off her skill. Then I have to chase her, yelling, Ellie, drop! I shouldn't have to run so far. I told you when to stop. Still, I'm sure it's good for me to taste that mangy mutt. What else would I be doing? Sitting on my butt? There. That is my contribution to the holidays.
Thank you so much, Sir Bill. Up next, I would love to bring up next Jan Rowe. Having a problem? Let me ask you to unmute again. Let's see if that helps. There we go.
Yeah.
Uh-oh. Oh, I think you unmuted but then muted back again.
Oh,
There we
okay.
go.
Sorry.
You're good
Well,
now.
I kind of submitted partially, but I was running out of time Tuesday because I had written my brother-in-law lost his sister. She was 89, 10 years older than him. But so I turned in a part of this. It's called If Evicted. If evicted, I would not be too quick to leave. Unlike some states, Massachusetts has notice to quit before eviction. Have to give you a reason. Only a judge can evict. However, those with legal help usually win. That's the corporations. A domestic abuse survivor was evicted. The party responsible for the rent spent the rent this domestic abuse survivor faithfully paid. But the domestic abuse survivor was evicted and she left, accustomed to abuse. She became homeless. Abuse abounds. The eviction was overturned. She moved back into the a corporate-owned housing, like 50% of that in Boston, with AI real page rental price fixing suit finally by the Department of Justice. I hope they don't take too long. What do you think Pam Bond is going to do? I'm remembering a police sheriff who refused to further evict when he realized the people he was evicting, they were rent current. This was all property juggling or eviction to raise the rent. So there are people that are refusing to evict these people. So we are now demanding just cause eviction, not just to raise the rent or do some juggling of properties and control. So, you know, why does the hedge fund have 300,000 houses? Why did the former Secretary of the Treasury had 30,000 and Thomas Barack, head of the Inaugural, he also had to dump 30,000 foreclosed homes? That's all for now. Ah, ah.
Thank you, Jan. Brandon would like to bring up next Nike Truth.
Present. Hello, everybody. This piece
Hello.
is called Thursday, and the first part is called Day. Right, right, left, right, passing crosses, train tracks, turbines, barns, flags, buggies. Slow, steady, urgent, tired, thoughtful, quick. Taking loops, roundabouts, intersections, blinking canaries and finches, heading forward, south, far, going, west, moving, moving, moving. And the second part is Thurs. Only a few days until another month replaces this one. I didn't go to work, didn't think about money, and didn't think about my stomach. I'm ignoring my father's birthday again. I'll take my usual 19 and a half clicks to anywhere. Thank you.
I like that. Thank you so much. Who does the Ramdonator want up next? Let's bring up Magister Galt, aka Edward S. Galt, aka 2000 fellow 2024 author. Congratulations. And the virtual podium is yours.
Thank you. Thank you. I would like to read my recently postcard nominated poem Wing from my book. So Marissa Prana nominated my poem Wing for the Pushcart Prize this year. And it's in my book, Airhead and Other Poems. Go Wing. It was on the day that I went with my father and his colleagues to shoot blue rock on our family's farm. He or someone hit a pigeon. The bird was wounded, but still able to walk around. My father asked me to pursue it with my BB gun and put it out of its misery. So I tracked it down and took aim, which was easy because he wasn't moving around too much. I fired and he ran 2 feet or so into one of the sheds where there was a tractor. I was pretty sure that I had hit him. I made sure that he didn't leave my sight, and I entered the shed and fired again. The bird took off behind the wheel under the tractor. I maneuvered in behind, spotted him, and fired. It surprised me that he could go this long with so much shot in him. Finally, I finally cornered him. I lowered the barrel down to his head. He raised his wing to his head. Leaving nothing to chance, I fired and killed him. The image of the pigeon shielding his head with his wing had not left me. And now, I'd like to read just one more kind of a shout out to Jan Rowe, her eviction poem. I have one of my own here called Eviction, also from my book Airhead and Other Poems. The lawyer was silhouetted against the light from the window behind the judge. I remember him hoisting his file-sized cabinet briefcase upon the table in front of him, a burly hand gripping the handle. It was a big hand. I represent landlords and their claims against tenants, he said. I could not see his face, just a hand in the big briefcase. A woman stood at the bar, a little girl in tow, her hair held back with a heart barrette. She explained that she had lost her job, but that she was doing everything she could to pay the rent. She said that she even sold her car to pay the landlord what she owed him. She said this a number of times at the trial, but she didn't have a cabinet-sized briefcase. She had small, delicate hands and a soft voice. Soft voices weren't being heard in court that day. Thank you very much.
That's the Christmassy thoughts that prevail this month. Good Lord. Up next, I'd like to bring out Robert Fleming. The screen share has been enabled, sir.
Thank you. Good evening. I'm Robert Fleming, a visual poet from Lewis, Delaware. Tonight, I will be offering another reading from a seasonal favorite, A Christmas Carol. And I will first share a little bit of a background on that work, even though most people are familiar with it. Here it is. Here it is. A Christmas Carol by Charles Dickens is a novella about Ebenezer Scrooge, a wealthy but miserly old man who learns the true meaning of Christmas. Scrooge's transformation. On Christmas Eve, Scrooge is visited by the ghosts of his former business partner, Jacob Marley, and the ghosts of Christmas past, present, and yet to come. The ghosts show Scrooge how his meanness has affected those around him, and he realizes he must change his ways. So this is one of the covers for the book, A Christmas Carol. And then this is a cartoon representation of Ebenezer Scrooge. And then this is his business partner, Bob Marley, as a ghost. So now I will share the scene that I'd like us to read tonight. Here it is. And I will read just the background, and then we can have volunteers. There are two characters. So before the scene opens, Scrooge, ready for bed, warms himself before the heap of coals. As he pulls his nightcap from a chair, a small hand bell tumbles off onto the floor. Startled, he picked it up and rings it for reassurance. An echo answers it. Scrooge escapes to his bed. The bell sounds grow to a din, incoherent as in a dream, then suddenly falls silent. Scrooge sits up in bed, listens, hears the chain of Marley coming up the stairs. Scrooge reaches for the bell, pulled to summon Sparsit. The bell responds with a gong, and Marley appears. So the two characters in this scene are Scrooge and Marley, his prior business partner. So I'm looking for two volunteers to read.
Scrooge, I want to be Scrooge.
What do you
One.
want with me?
No. So John is going to be Scrooge. Bill, would you like to be Marley, the ghost, his prior business partner?
Oh, how does it higher? Should it be much or like much? I want my motivation. I'm
Well,
ready.
okay. So John, would you like to start with Scrooge's first line?
What do you want with me?
Much.
Who are you?
Ask me who I was.
Who were you?
In life, I was your partner, Jacob Marley.
He's dead.
7 years this night, Ebenezer Scrooge.
Why do you come here?
I must. It is commanded me. I must wander the world and see what I can no longer share, what I would not share when I walked where you do.
It must go thus.
The chain? Ha! Look at it, Ebenezer. Study it. Locks and vaults and golden coins. I forged it, each link, day by day, when I sat in these chains and commanded these rooms. Greed, Ebenezer Scrooge, wealth. Feel them, know them. Yours was as heavy as this I wear 7 years ago, and you have labored to build it since.
If you're here to lecture, I have no time for it. It is late. The night is cold. I want comfort now.
I have none to give. I know not how you see me this night. I did not ask it. I have sat invisible beside you many and many a day. I am commanded to bring you a chance. Ebenezer, heed it.
Quickly then, quickly.
You will be haunted by 3 spirits.
Is that the chance?
Mark it.
I do not choose to.
Then you will walk where I do, burdened by your riches, your greed.
Spirits mean nothing to me.
Expect the first tomorrow when the bell tolls 1. The second the night after at the same hour, the third upon the night next, and then the last stroke of 12 has ended. Look to me no more, I must wander. Look that.
Jacob, don't leave me. Jacob, Jacob.
Goodbye, Ebenezer.
Marley's last words, a funeral procession begins to move across the stage. A boy walks in front. A priest follows, swinging a censer. Sounds of mourning and the suggestion of church music. Scrooge calls out, "Jacob, don't leave me," as if talking in the mists of a bad dream. Scrooge pulls shut the bed curtains. The bell sounds are picked up. The clock begins to chime, ringing hours. Scrooge sits up in bed and begins to kiss the chimes.
8, 9, 10, 11. It can't be 12. Midnight. No, not 12. It can't be. I haven't slept the whole day through. 12. Yes, 12 noon.
He hurries to the window and looks out.
Black. 12 midnight. I must get up. A day wasted. I must get down to the office. Quarter
Two small
past.
chimes.
But it just rang 12. 15 minutes haven't gone past, not so quickly.
Again,
Quarter to one. The spirit is to come to at one. One.
you, thank you. And that was a reading from Charles Dickens' A Christmas Carol, which was originally written as a novella and then converted into a play.
Yeah, sorry, Robert. I stepped on the narrator, but it seemed like, Scrooge was on kind of on a roll there. So,
Yes, you will be attached to two new links for that tonight.
yes.
You get that, John.
Characteristically, Scrooge got greedy at the end. So we now have who do we have next? Let's welcome up Marianne Honecker.
I've got another golden shovel. This one is from Amy Nezukamatasil, I think is how you say her name. Her poem Sea Church. I did the whole poem. Words of Evening. I have this ancient cherry tree to give. Its branch is brittle. I've lost most of me. I look for myself under leaves, and a holy softness enters me, as in church. The earthworms wriggle deeper. I have made a self out of burnt bones entirely. In my yard, the grace of a thick willow of unknown years, the grace of tears spilling salt down my cheeks, the grace of salted hair. Let the mourners come with their questions. In the forest, far down the winding path, where walls of shell chip away slowly, where the hiss of pebbles gives way to cliff fall, and the cave where the soners sit and smoke, there may be answers. I was alive when midnight scarred me, but not awake. I carry stones with me. I won't return to who I was, not completely, or to the boulders stacked on the eastern shore. I have the grace of unwinding time. I spill my contents, wonder and ask why that hammer, why that bent nail, and for how long? Why the pack of wild dogs or the thick-coated caribou? I have the grace of falling often, of bruising little, of a new dress I haven't worn. I'm in a cage. I grasp the cold bars. I am a new exhibit, the fading woman, freckle in the face of time. I am standing on sand being swifted away by sea, and my feet are sinking. No one has touched my cheek, cupped it in his palm. The wild dogs wake, the yipping and howling unsettle my owls. They lift one by one into the slate black sky of my interior. I'm vast within, blue the walls of my houses, snow coating and forgetting them. Constellations are my neurons, face of porcelain, my mother's face. The ocean caresses the shore, soapy with froth. Bubbles pop and sizzle on my skin. There is always a destination toward which I'm walking. I fail to greet the gatekeepers. They disassemble me. I fail to find a cave in which to hide. If you need directions, do not come to me. I'm lost in my own landscape, too far in to dredge thoughts and words out. In a diary, they're locked, in a small besieged room. I'm surfacing in my own ocean, with starfish draped over my legs. There is no sky. I float, staring up at ribs for windows, a sheet of muscle for clouds. I never knew I spent so much time in my mind. Let me out. I need a path out of me. Some people find paths in each other. See trees and rivers, walk a lifetime. The lucky swim in another sea, watch dolphins in their pods, whales breaching, fish leaping. No nets, no spears. Years pass looking into someone, searching for their sky while commas trip me on my path. Comma, violence for years. Comma, substance abuse. Comma, the lack of oceans of any kind of water. Comma, no kneeling within, no prayer. The disciples stood, watched Jesus rising until clouds swallowed him. He floated like a lost balloon past the atmosphere, a host of angels baffled, mouths open, songs of frightened awe. It is very old, the paper on which this is written, words like lanterns blazing in the face of the reader, in the mind. I have journeyed out of the holy place, only to find another, inky with dark and midnight truths, words of evening. I've looked into other people, let them be the disaster they are. Like them, my rivers dry out, my storm clouds hang like curse words. They withhold rain, scuttle into another reel. The movie in the projector skips, throws spots on a spotless sky. The cockatiel of hope is caged until the reel runs out. Boxes and boxes they carry, the kind men, but I will vanish, not merely move a few houses away. At present, I don't hope to find oceans in the neighbors. At most, I may find a cliff's edge, and I have one of my own. Thinking of how hollow others seem to be and is the apex of vanity. Their constellations may dwarf mine in size, complexity. The distant past house both gods and heroes, and so may their ribs. I've abandoned and forgotten many of my soul's animals. The jaguar and my neighbor may be lost too. We have so many beasts and are so busy with the outer sunlit world, its tasks and shouted demands. I am a jewel bright dancer, footwork too soft to hear. To center stage I float. No one will notice. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you, comma Mary. Very nice. We are getting closer to the end. I was wondering if looks like one of our people have one of our persons has left us. I don't know if Rich P is interested in reading. If you want to let us know either through your mic or through chat, if you want to read, let me know. Otherwise, I'll bring it over to Mr. John Wezick, whose brand new book of poetry was just released today
Yes,
from
yeah,
Alien
thanks.
Buddha.
My video is not working for some reason, so I would show it to you. But it's perfect bound and 70 pages. It's a book of called "Explaining Humanity to Electrons." It's a book of poems about physics. I always thought formal poetry was all about the form and not about meaning. And so I sat through a lot of engineering meetings in my career, not knowing what the hell these people are talking about. So I put the two together. And this is called Electrical Engineering Sonnet. ATM Sonet, shunt regulation, latch gain vernier, band pass logic race, gate drain, Carnot map demodulation, backplane, cathode ray, JFET, FSK, multiplexer, Nyquist, CMOS, op amp, flip flop, ground loop, shot noise, decibel, MOSFET, slew rate, surface wave, diode clamp, dead time, O-ring, ASIC, TTL, coal pits, oscillator, Zener, diode, jump vector, data bus, FPGA, push pull, output stage, Reed Solomon code, bootstrapping, Hamming weight, CDMA, noise figure, Schmidt trigger, varactor, strobe, PNP, NPN, surge current, ohm. And I will await Bill Lewis's chapbook on Java programming.
A rhyme scheme worthy of a Animaniac song. I can see that in Yako's voice. Very nice, sir. Very nice. And we know who's gearing up next because he knows who's gearing up next because he just turned on his camera. Let's have a musical interlude with Mr. Ethan Mackler. Thank you, Ethan Mackler. And it is now time to bring us to the closing of the first round of the round robin open mic with Mr. James Van Loy. Catch his column every Thursday morning at 11 o'clock at oddballmagazine.com, and consider submitting yourself to any of our categories, including the Christmas Wars, which are going to be taking place the last week. Got to be published the last week of Christmas. I believe the deadline to submit is Sunday on December 22nd. Take it away, Mr. Van Loy.
Thanks, Chad. I have a poem here called Still Standing Human, which is actually this is from January of 2021, so about almost 4 years ago. Still Standing Human. I just finished Still Standing Human, sprawling figure of man labyrinth, using all colors and dusty old bread bags. When a couple of Spanish-speaking guys pass by and one says in half English, half Spanish, referring to me and my work, "What a beast!" And I know what he means, that we share this, the experience of stoop work, as it was once so called, head down, hands to the ground, the way in summers I pick strawberries, peppers, and tomatoes to go to market in Mrs. Maxon's old pickup truck to Bay City under the roof of the open-sided community market, which became an ice skating rink for hockey leagues in winter. And I know the young passerby understands what it is to work bent over all day in the sun, up and down the rows, endless, long, seeming days, when the best that can be hoped for is to see the full baskets of produce all lined up, waiting to go off to market, when even now I see the bright colors left behind and remember the migrant families, the men, women, and children working the long line rows. And I have a song here from if I can find it quickly. Here we go. So this is the Dutch songwriter Armand song called Als alle grenzen open gaan, when all borders are open. Als alle grenzen open gaan van landen groot en klein. Als er geen muren meer bestaan, dan zal het vrede zijn. Als alle mensen samen gaan van landen groot en klein. Als mijn kanderlijk verstaan, dan zal het vrede zijn. Nog heb ik wat het er niet aan voor het allerlaatste strijd. Nog heb de klok het er niet aan, maar voor de hoogste tijd. Dat alle grenzen open gaan van landen groot en klein. Dat blanken zwoord elkaar verstaan, dan zal het vrede zijn. Er wordt al eeuwig lang gepraat en mens die weet hoe lang. The world walked up and even dat de mensheid wordt zo bang. Als alle grenzen open gaan van landen groot en klein. Als er geen muren meer bestaan, dan zal het vrede zijn. Als alle mensen samen gaan van landen groot en klein. Als mijn elkander leert verstaan, dan zal het vrede zijn. Nog heb de klok het er niet aan voor het allerlaatste strijd. Nog heb de klok het er niet aan, maar voor de hoogste tijd. alle Grenzen open gaan van landen groot en klein. Let blankens wordt elkaar bestaan, dan shall as great is thine. Only then shall it be peace, dan shall prosperity zijn. Thank you. When alle Grenzen open gaan.
Thank you very much, James. We're going to head back to start, collect $200, and begin at the beginning where we began the last time. Otherwise, how it could be a round robin. And we'll begin again with Mr. Richard Spizak himself.
Thank you, my friend. Thank you. Let me take a quick peek. I had one handy, but I thought, I'd like to go with something a little different. This is called Eating and Defeating Art. It references that strange situation where, number one, somebody taped a banana to the wall and sold it for $1,000,000, which is one level of silly stupid, okay? But then another jackass spent more to buy it and then he ate it. So this is my reflection on that curious bit of folderol. Eating and defeating art. It's not the Mona Lisa, the procedure at least an indelicate balance, some fool at the palace who flounced down the stairs to the hum of the hunting of whales, ostensibly non-reverentially to compete with a value whose behavior is so shallow. Now art can be silly, ask Marge, Ben, or Willie, as whimsical or as precious, as inedible as breakfast. But to sneer and career through a gallery with no apology, to stifle and smash with great wads of cash is a Philistine grab right out of the lab. Imagine some random bloke who with his wallet take note buys a Gutenberg Bible and with his check-flying, art-denying rival declares it's his art, a bonfire to start with its pages outrageous the staff, the curators laugh. His check isn't tiny by half. In fact, it o'erfilled and knocked over the carafe, more than enough to choke a giraffe. 'Cause art is a joke, and yet sometimes hope floats. And the statue of Lucy, and when a whimsical Tyrannosaurus loosely is translated to rubles, it's a mismeasure at last by some Philistine's cash. A tin ear for value. Is his judgment just fallow? Is it all value just trash, and tossing out some Ming vase just goes smash? 'Cause some toady floats in with a boatload of cash? With some $10 million hammer wielded by a bloke with a credit card jammer reduces it all 'cause he's confused. Bulbs flashing, the cameras recall his every act, as a matter of fact. By his own worth sullied the loss and tosses it out of the church. And when he eats the banana and pockets the tape, it's just a mistake. 'Cause art is a dream. Don't confuse it or use it for some ego-ass dream. Yes, R. Mutt's urinal was a seminal move, and it's part of the start of a found art remove, but it's still in art's groove. Cash, maybe speech, but if you ask Archie Leach, it may yet be a mistake, and after her haircut, the case was shut on old Veronica Lake. And should I go with a second or stop right there? It's too much already.
One more, and then as Banksy says, we'll exit at the gift shop.
Okay, so this is called Proved in a Switch. Once again, thank you, it's proved in a switch. If you're rich, you can be 47 kinds of a son of a bitch. Walk through walls no cell can keep you. Walk through the open church door and ignore the people. Once again, all restraints go unused. Why, son, if you're rich, the sheriff will shine your shoes. It's all listed all over the place. The charges were dropped, a million myriad places where the law just stopped. It basically flopped. You'd be convinced that all those laws on the books just weren't any. Shine that old pretty penny. You're sad if you don't have any, because if you're cash short, the law snorts. Or like old Jack Benny, if you're down to the last few pennies on you, the law will drop. If you hadn't two coins to rub together, stop. You'll be hauled up on a million charges, or maybe accidentally some copper's gun discharges. Accidentally, of course, because it's rare, but you poor old pool boy, you'll probably just end up in jail. It's completely unnecessary to remind that any rich man in any court will find a special place to rest his feet on a fleet of eternity's attorneys to make it all read. Steal some secrets, corrupt elections. Maybe he'll see justice or just his next connection. How he stumbled past any law form. He just laughed and passed out some gingery, tinselly, gold-plated chloroform. Steal and rob and murder for sure. Then 10 minutes later, he's waltzing out the door. He'll be rewarded in the end as long as he can buy enough of those judicial prejudicial friends. Justice just looks away and coughs. Election interference. Don't you worry that well-coiffed head. All the charges will be suddenly circumstantially dismissed instead. Election interference? Why, that's just for littles. Go right ahead. Your maid told us the prosecutor's busy frying up some of your favorite victuals. Steady. Investigations of your bogus college scam were dropped. They flopped by a hopping prosecutor with willful knowledge. Imagine what writing kiting checks can do, whether from the Manhattan, Miami, or Kalamazoo. His boast he could shoot anyone on Second Avenue no longer seems to ring so hollow, and all that stuff you once found so hard to swallow were like Daniel in a den of spaniels. Walk on water, steal the race, seems simply pathological if the occasional reporter dares to ask a question. Hey, order me up 11,780 votes, because in that case it's all washed away. But hey, it was a great big flood of money. Sweet. Take note. Who's to say all those secrets stacked and packed by the pool at Mar-a-Largo? Any discussion of that? Well, my friends, keep that under your hat. There's been an embargo. And will New York or Georgia find some spine, or just blinking slink away like Getz in the nick of time? Thank you, poets. You keep thinking. It's a revolutionary act.
Compared to some of these people, breathing is a revolutionary act, or at least breathing through your nose. Anyway, let us go now to Jackie Oldham.
All right. Still in my not so great mood. Losing friends, folks, friends from high school. So this is a new poem, Unfinished Business. Some things just don't add up. As I got dressed for your funeral, I stopped to read the funeral home's obituary. It docked 3 years off your life, upending everything I thought I knew about our entwined lives. Suddenly, you were a year younger than me instead of the 2 years older I'd always known you to be. And though I did the math in my head and on paper, it just didn't add up. You had been assigned my big sister in high school since my freshman year. But if this new thing was true, you'd have had to graduate when you were only 12 and a half. And I was nearly 16 then. I almost had a heart attack trying to square that circle. As I drove to the service, I pushed the thought out of mind, focused on the traffic and obstacles ahead and behind. After striding into the chapel, making small talk and looking for your body, I suddenly realized there was no physical you to say goodbye to. Where were you? In the ground or in a box of ashes? Or worse, a case study for anatomy students? As I read your official obituary, I let out a sigh of relief that you really were my big sister, that you were really 2 years my senior. Yet after all the accolades and hymns for you, the Alpha and Omega, Amen, I couldn't shake the feeling of things not adding up. Too many unsettled questions, too many leftover hurts remaining between us. For my friend, thank you, Alita Green, who I buried a week and a half ago.
The condolences, Jackie. Thank you so much for being here with us tonight.
Lovely tribute. Lovely tribute.
And now we go to, I feel like that comic that has to go on and laugh after they do like a very sad memorial. But you like in introducing Bill.
Well, I wanted to make sure that I had a good background, something that, you know, I worked so hard to get that tree up, and I'm gonna do the great ceremony, you know, and you're all invited. I'll put that in the chat. You can come tomorrow and watch the tree go. I don't know. Oh, what the hell? It's an excuse to get together and chat if you want to. I'll send a message. But until such time, I am inspired by James to use my voice, no matter how meager it might be, to celebrate the holidays. As many of you probably don't know, I spent a good amount of time in Sweden. Nu tändas tusen julaljus på himlens mörka rund. Och tusen strålar och på himlens djupblå grund. Now we light 1,000 candles here in the dark times in the world around. 1,000 rays of light strike out into the great unknown. I varje hjärtat rött och mörkt sänd du din strålarbild. Här föder Herren Jesus Krist, vår frälsare och Gud. There we go. So Swedish Hallows Christmas songs, because they're beautiful. And I have a horrible voice, but what the hell? You're stuck with it. Woohoo! I love you all.
Thank you, Bill. And up next is Jan Rowe, if she so wishes.
There you go.
Okay, this was in the Black Seed Weekly for this week. It's called Freedom from Polio. Polio cases increasing in number in Gaza Strip. So the Israeli occupying force, aka Israeli Defense Force, there were risks for polio, hence vaccination program once essentially disallowed is now allowed. I can't recollect anyone in my age group who got polio. The polio vaccine was free. Dr. Jonas Salk of Pittsburgh, who developed it, said that patenting the vaccine would be like patenting the sun. I know of some persons a few years older who got polio before the vaccine was available. It meant freedom for us kids. We could bicycle to different streams and creeks. Our parents weren't so worried about our getting polio. We could swim in the Monongahela River at a West Brownsville beach in August if an adult were present. I got whooping cough as a kid, and I think that's where I get this thing in my head, stick a sock in it. So I got whooping cough before the pertussis vaccine. And it reminds me, Mark Twain, his son and his wife survived cholera, but then his child died of diphtheria. So DPT and tetanus, of course, Henry David Thoreau's younger brother had lockjaw tetanus. So United States recommends the DPT, but some people want them separate every 10 years. It might have been less in England. So thank you. That was part of that was in this week's.
Good.
Thank you, Jan. And Nike Truth is it's time for a second round if you so wish.
Sure. One moment. This is one of the versions of a poem called Ghost in the Shell. You're no better than the microplastics in the ocean. Even after years of erosion, you persevere as caustic glitter swirling in the umbra of the soul. Maybe out of sight, but forever clinging to the silence. Wounds burn. Wounds burn, it's your pollution that slows the healing. In nightmares, your memory swallows breath and burns lungs, and I'm clawing at a touch that rushes through my fingers. Forever a stench lurking in my nostrils, every gaze ripples with the shadows of before. When emotions rock back, I am everything. Then the pollution comes forth, and I return to nothing. Thank you.
Very lovely. Thank you. Mr. Galt, Mr. Gentleman Galt, if you'd like to go again.
Okay, this time I'll go with something a little more seasonal called holiday food. And some of you may have heard this, one of my classics. um, Holiday food. Holiday leftovers are a tricky business. I could never get away with raiding the fridge at night, so I have to wait for all the others to leave before I can begin to rustle in the fridge to get at the turkey. Here's the tricky part: how to leave just enough so that no one knows that anything was ever taken out. When supper is being prepared, there is just enough. Factor in that everyone is going to be doing this, picking and leaving just enough. We had all done such a superb job of this that when my wife pulled out the container a week later, it was still three-quarters full. The question was, could we still eat it? It didn't seem too bad at first, but as I was retching over the sink, I prayed for the sweet mercy of death. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Galt. Mr. Fleming.
Good evening. And I wanted to express gratitude for some of the publication opportunities that Chad put on Facebook. And I'm going to share one of my submissions for that. So I actually submitted to two of them that Chad recommended: variant literature, some poetry, and the Rock Salt Journal. I submitted digital graphics. I will share on the Rock Salt Journal. It is a magazine where the editor-in-chief lives in the state of Maine, and they favor work which has a flavor of the Northeast of the United States. I started with this image of salt, and I applied a background remover to it, and I had a miracle of what was produced, and this is what was produced. It is called Salthead, which I produced, which fits with the title of the magazine, The Rock Salt. This is an image of a salt field, which I applied a filter called Tracer, which converts color images to black and white. And then this is the same image with a different filter called Liquify, which will turn your image into an impressionistic painting. Here is another tracer of salt squares. And then here are the salt squares with a filter which makes your work look more psychedelic. And here is the salt mine where I applied some color around the sides of it, and a tractor pulling the salt out from the mine. The filter for this one is called Trippy Split, where it will take your image and split it into like 3. And then this is the same tractor where I applied a surrealistic filter called Liquify to distort the shape of the tractor. So thank you for letting me share my submission to the Rock Salt Journal, and I will put the link for that in the chat. I think submissions are open through the end of January of this year.
Thank you, Robert. And hopefully there'll be some more journal recommendations to next tomorrow afternoon. I can tell you one now, the Dope Fiend Daily, which is one of those blogspot, blogosphere literary journals, actually came under new management and is now seeking work from everybody. They sent the word out, and the word's been spreading by word of mouth. And by word of mouth, I mean the everyone's messaging me about it separately. So it seems like they're hungry for submissions. So that's Dope Fiend Daily. I'll put a link to that and hopefully have a couple other ones tomorrow. Oh, let's go now to Marianne Honecker.
I have yet another golden shovel. This one is using Maggie Smith's Heart from Good Bones. It's called The Body as a Door. No one wants to stand on death's cliff edge. A sky the color of thread, and not a child outside. I'm standing on the edge of. Thank you, I constantly say. The number of sparrows in the tree, 6. The grapple pellets in the grass. She knows, the goddess. Her breath is clean of burning. You're close to the edge when spirits wake you. You're not of this world or the next. You press on the membrane, put steps in a shadowy shape crossing the hall. This doesn't mean she's abandoned you. Forget what you learned in Sunday school. She walks down the street to your house. The grapple clicks together to make a sound like billiard balls. Then she walks by. She's still here. Think of a small child's drawing. Sticks and circles for mom and dad, and half that size herself. Maybe a dog along the grass, that green line. A triangle on a rectangle. The sun in the corner fold, that's the goddess. Her presence is cutting the grass away from the sky. Now and then, you'll spot her through an opening. In the supermarket, in the nowhere of the night sky. In the winter cold, do you see the stars rippling as a stream? You could quiet yourself minuscule, then open that door and step in. Comets, lilies, where you end up is the fever of your soul. Do you feel the selves of your past crowding you? Is the breeze a rose petal? You carry either a clear stone or fire in your pocket and room for all of your recent dead. Moon and sun on either side of your chest. There's no pill you can take for that, and also no known cure. My dead cat's hair is in my locket, which falls against my breastbone. I'm mourning or taped to the past with duct tape. Is that a door? A garden gate? My lock is hinged, so I can add a trinket. It's hanging with the weight of 7 worlds, pulling on my neck stem like a peony I bend, and a long way from resolution. Is your chain the weight of a tear or the ocean? That was a rude question. And the screaming greens of spring, your heart froths, your nose opens, your eyes dilate. Dark loam is in your throat. Anything could grow there. Thistle, rose, and thorn, daisy for foretelling love, or the purple clover I loved before I was dead, or alone in that membrane, thrust inside it, speaking the language of mountains. You haven't found the door yet, but you don't give up. You watch the trees closely. You observe branch from branch to leaf. When you hear the tree breathing, you'll be ready. Of them who don't search, don't worry. The tree's breathing. You are the sky's diamond, the earth's star. Searching for a way in for a moment must compel you to give all that you have. Time, of insistence, of love, of a single green stem. It blows open a hole in your being, finding the door. They may try to distract you with tasks. You can press being into your ironing. Peel potatoes with the goddess. It's in their records. So much is in the gray. His broad walk, her dark strawberry lips. These succulents can also be doors shedding self like a worn out t-shirt if you hear the ping of the goddess in each. You won't get anywhere pushing the door open. It sticks. It's swollen in the heat when summer's on, and your ego rises. You inflate like a life raft. The door won't open. Spheres of crisp, opaque rime, but grapple will melt in your palm. It will sting a bit. We haven't forgotten fall, the hues you find under your feet, the distinct smell of them as each leaf dries, some flat and some folded. One day a door will open. Come inside. Some days none will. The world won't let you in. I talk of doors, but haven't seen what I speak of in a long time. They change shape, they change season, they change shoreline or trees. I look every day with words and what they mean. My pocket is empty. I've given what I had. Sun settles in the deep cut of valley. She expands upward, releases shape. I try to step into whatever is, but today is very cold. I have made more coffee. I am part. I am the whole. I repeat what I know, but the words fall by the couch. They lay on the floor. Nothing's opening. I scrape out the insides of the word I. With a knife, I cut the ground from the word mean. I have my flesh, but nothing besides. I need to look to the comfort of the body. I must find the door in my heart. That's all. Thank you.
And thank you. I believe that brings us back to Mr. John Wezick.
Okay, here's another one from the book. It's about string theory. It's called Einstein's Strings. Einstein winds the old phonograph and drops the needle on a toroidal record that arrived postmarked May 2111. 10-dimensional violins, violas, and cellos fill the room with a symphony of quarks and leptons. Hair messy and dressed in a ratty sweater, Einstein pumps his arms to the rhythm of a D-brain timpani, much better than that rap music Niels Bohr used to play. The strings strike a flat note. Einstein winces and sits down with a legal pad. Needs a little tuning. He touches pen to lips. Let's see. Neumann boundary conditions. And an oboe shaped like a Klein bottle. Einstein closes his eyes, sinks into the upholstery, and dreams the sound of cymbals shaped into Calabi-Yau manifolds.
Thank you, John. And now a little music, if possible, if he wishes, only if he wishes, from Ethan Macklet. And so there. And bringing it home will be James Van Loy once again.
Hi. Yeah, so I got
Hello.
this is called hi. This is called Quaternity Strikes Again. Deja vu cover up in plain sight all over again. The brow furrowed, history talking, head full of their official narrative looks almost wonderstruck at camera, for after all, they have referred the former president again for criminal prosecution. In fact, hung the whole sad affair right there on his ultimate comb-over version of 1950s hard guy locked pompadour of carefully threaded illusion, when by now we actually know that almost all of it, the two Supreme Court kings who were ready to give legal cover. Indeed, one even voted twice to cover up his wife's obvious involvement as liaison to High Court of corrupt political hacks, who had already stolen at least one, if not all, the elections of my adult lifetime. But who could have thought and how could have come to this? You see, when maybe, after all, Ford should not have pardoned Nixon and covered up all those mafia conversations and mob money smack dab in the middle of the cover up of that worse than second rate burglary. But oh, heavens forbid, even mentioning how Ronald Reagan, Zopp, and H.W. George Bush were allowed to walk because the president was so demented. And the VP had all the outstanding cases pardoned from Iran-Contra by Bill Barr, Attorney General. The president can do anything to any one person for just first H.W. George Bush and then Trump, just as Mueller got away the money trail, a BCI Bank of Commerce and Credit International, Saudi Arabian mover of money for samosas, Contra goons to shoot public health and education workers in Nicaragua's revolution, and then ignoring finances in the Russiagate investigation of Trump. But then it turns out, right down below, here in the dank bowels of America, the emperor has, as it always has done, this constitutional crisis been swallowed, the imperial president, the supremes of courtless injustices, legislators who can't make a budget their one central task, overwhelmed again by everything for the evil empire. So, with nothing left over for the people, the US, that is all of us, floating the collapsed economy of poor Ukraine, some tens of millions of people on Defense Department allocations unlimited, while people who vote all this havoc abroad, a proxy war, and regime change, judicial, executive, and legislative, every time you turn around is another devious turn. Watergate, Iran Contra, January 6th conspiracy, blatant abuse, and then along comes good old boy friends of the imperial security state to title it all up and never, ever see the pattern that makes the criminals and their awful neighbors exactly, almost, sort of, kind of, actually, not exactly the same. And here's the song. Blue moon, you saw me standing alone, without a dream in my heart, without a love of my own. Blue moon, you knew just what I was there for. You heard me saying a prayer for somebody I really could care for. And there suddenly appeared before me the only one my arms will ever hold. I heard somebody whisper, please adore me. And when I looked, the moon had turned to gold, blue moon. Now I'm no longer alone, without a dream in my heart, without a love of my own. Thank you.
And with a bob a bob a bob a bob bomb, we are we are done for another week. Thank you guys very much for coming. This was a very nice way to wind down, and I'm hoping to get last week's Stone Soup Crouton done and get this week's done on Friday. And even then, I'll still be 3 behind because of the crazy month I had in October. But hopefully I'll be able to announce. I already had one person say they can't do it this month, but they can feature in January. So at this rate, I'll have more January announcements than I will for in December by the end of the week. That's the way it goes. So it might just be a quiet December. It's a hard month to feature. That being said, I am featuring via Zoom for the Friends of Poetry uh, for the Friends of Poetry round robin open mic. I'll be the feature there, reading for a half hour. That'll be on Friday, the 20th of December. If anyone's interested, direct message me and let me know because that's the only way you're going to get the Zoom. The group is so private that he hasn't sent me the link yet. He's sending it to me like 2 days before, and then I share it with the people who say they're interested. I guess I had big Zoom bomb problem back in the early days. Back in the early days of Zoom, I remember it like it was 4 years ago. Um, so hopefully more Stone Soup news will be announced. Thank you guys for your support and consider submitting to anything that I list in on a Thursday, including the Christmas Wars. We already have some pretty good applications already, so I'm looking forward to some more. Remember, the Christmas Wars are amping up. Now they're blaming wokeness for ending unwanted mistletoe kisses. But it's going to be that Christmas again. All my family are going to be like yelling Merry Christmas at me over the phone, and it's not going to be nice. But anyway, we will reconvene next week, regardless of feature or no feature. Obligatory wave under mistletoe or no mistletoe. I guess it doesn't matter if we're all remote. Thank you guys very much for your time tonight, and I hope to I'll see you all again next week. Much love to our new people who are here, silent partners. And if you guys want to come next week, you're more than welcome to. Everyone is welcome. It can be like this every week. All we need is you, and maybe with some new people, and be with some of you new people, it'll be even better. Thank you guys and have a great night. Show's over. See you next time.